My name is Drew Willard, and I met Chris Farlekas for the first time in 1985 on my way to China. Now, I had heard about Chris 5 years before that. We had a mutual friend, an Army buddy of mine, Gary May, and we had been talking about adults who had been mentors for us as young people. And Gary spoke about Chris. And he told me how Chris had become a family friend after he met him while Gary was at West Point. And Chris was invited to lead a clown ministry workshop at the Mays Church for the youth retreat. And so I had a sense of him as being an enchanting, a cosmic Christian, and certainly somebody who was very special. Well, I had gotten out of the Army to go to seminary, and in the process, I was looking to go to Lancaster Theological Seminary, the United Church of Christ. And so I would come to visit during the planning time to meet with the Mays. And it seemed that Chris Farlekas had either just been there or would be coming next week, so we kept missing. After my first year at seminary, I had the opportunity to study abroad in China. And it was a special seminar, actually. And so I signed up for this and flew out to San Francisco. And at the airport hotel, there was an orientation for our trip. And the group leader was going through the roster for room assignments, and he said, "Oh, Chris Farlekas is not here yet." I about fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, sure enough, a man came in at lunchtime wearing a burgundy short-sleeve shirt, tan chinos, no socks, sky blue sneakers, salt and pepper crew cut, black horn-rimmed glasses, bushy eyebrows, and he came in with this look on his face like he was a kid in a candy shop. And I thought, this must be Chris Farlekas. And after he'd had some lunch, I went over and introduced myself, and he stood up and he took my hand. He said, "You're Drew Willard?" So my friends the Mays had talked to him about me. Well, we left on the plane the next day, and as he was taking his seat, he said, "I'm going to be sitting over there, but I want to say this to you. I want to say, I love you, and I think you need to hear that a lot." Well, we arrived after about a 24-hour flight in China, and by the early evening, we were settled in our hotel. And Chris went right up to the room that we would share. And after I was talking with some people, I went up, and it was about 10 o'clock. And after using the bathroom, I went to bed. And then Chris got up, and he stumbled on my luggage, which was at the foot of the bed. It was a very small room. And I was very sleepy at this point, and I said to him, "Be careful because the toilet got stuck." Well, I just fell asleep and didn't think any more of it. The next morning, Chris told me what had happened. He had hit his head against the wall and gotten a concussion. He crawled into the bathroom, and the toilet was not stopped up. The toilet had overflowed. So Chris was up until about 2 o'clock in the morning cleaning up my crap. Maybe some of you can relate, as Chris is someone who is willing to listen to people and to share their heart and deal with the crap. He said the worst thing, though, was that you didn't even ask me if I was okay. And that was the beginning of my friendship, which has lasted 35 years with Chris Farlekas. Those of you who know Chris know that as a reporter for the Times-Herald-Record, He would write about culture, write about people, loved movies. And a visit to Middletown, New York, usually included a stop at the Colonial Diner and then on to some activity. And one time, he and I went to see The Fisher King, the film with Robin Williams. And Robin Williams tells a story that is pretty iconic and pretty emblematic, symbolic of Chris Farlekas. And it's the story of how a wounded king is healed by a simple clown. A clown who asks a question. And in so doing, enables this king to find the Holy Grail and be healed. And not only healing for himself, but to heal the wasteland. And this is something that Chris symbolized, certainly in my life. In that film, the characters alternate between the wounded king and the healing clown. And certainly Chris was both of those characters at one time or another, and related to any of us who knew him in the same way. That we had the opportunities to be both the wounded king and the one who was healing, and hopefully empowered to heal others. Chris is somebody who asked questions, and one of the morals of that story is that when we fail to ask the question, whatever that question must be, then the space between people remains a wasteland. So when you ask somebody, how you doing, be like Chris Farlekas and be willing to listen. And one other thing, Chris said, I love you. And I think you really need to hear that a lot. Thank you.